When you're using the fire escape in a building, getting blood work done, or stopping at a red light, you're actively using things that were invented by Black people. Chances are, this is shocking news to you. The truth is that many things that we use in our everyday lives come from Black inventors. But when white people made improvements to these inventions throughout history, they often overshadowed the original creator. In the modern day, we take the technology around us for granted. These inventions have become a normal part of our lives, and we don't really take the time to consider where they come from. There are several inventions that were created by Black people throughout history. In the first part of this video, I'll take a look at 25 of the inventions that you may not know were originally created by Black people. From automatic elevator doors to hair care products, Black people are behind some of the most popular things we encounter daily. Each of the inventions I share in this video came from our culture and has been adopted by modern-day engineers, designers, and brands. Yet, our kind is often not given the credit they deserve. Automatic elevator doors. Whenever you step into an elevator, you expect the doors to automatically open and close. This wasn't always the case. Before 1887, elevator doors had to be operated manually, which posed a serious risk for the people who used these devices. After his wife fell down an elevator shaft, Alexander Miles, a Black inventor and businessman, decided to address the hazards of manual elevator doors. Alexander designed an automatic elevator door. It wasn't as fancy as the ones we see today, but it still laid a foundation for the modern-day doors we use when we need to ride an elevator. Alexander filed a patent for his invention in 1887. 2. Super Soaker Water Gun. In 1990, the Super Soaker water gun was launched. This toy gun became a trend in the United States, and its popularity quickly spread to a global level. Chances are, you or your kid have used one of these guns before. That's how popular they are. They've gone through many changes since the initial release and were first known as the Power Drencher. What you may not realize is that the inventor of the Super Soaker series is actually a Black man named Lonnie Johnson. He created this toy while working at the U.S. Air Force. In just a year, the toy was able to generate $200 million in sales. A lawsuit that Lonnie filed in 2013 shows how he, as the Black inventor behind the toy, was undervalued. Lonnie discovered that Hasbro, whom he partnered with for the sales of the Super Soaker series, had kept some royalties from him. Fortunately, he won the case and received over $70 million in royalties shortly after. 3. Peanut butter. Have you ever heard about the Peanut Butter Man? George Washington. Carver received this nickname after he discovered the many ways peanuts could be used. Throughout his lifetime, he created a variety of inventions using this simple snack that has been around for centuries. Many people credit George for peanut butter, among many other discoveries. There is some controversy, as it's believed that peanut butter has been around for much longer. However, he created his own variations of this popular spread that we often combine with jelly on a sandwich. Apart from this, he also invented a treatment for respiratory conditions. The treatment used peanuts and creosote. Of course, these are only some of the ways that George used peanuts. The only problem is that he never used a laboratory notebook, so he took his recipes with him to the grave. 4. Fire escape. In the 1800s, a fire broke out at a bakery in New York. The fire quickly spread to apartments and offices, which were built on top of the bakery. This put the lives of families at risk, leading to the introduction of new laws regarding fire safety. If you Google the inventor of the fire escape, which was the strategy that helped to ensure this type of issue won't happen again, you'll notice that publications state Anna Connolly is the person behind this invention. However, by doing some digging, you'll actually notice that a Black man was behind the very first fire escape device. Anna filed her patent on the 23rd of August, 1887. However, almost a decade earlier, a man named Joseph Winters actually filed a patent for a fire escape device. Once again, an example of how a Black man's invention is overlooked because a white person's overshadowed it. 5. Mechanical planter farming has played a crucial role in ensuring we have long had access to local produce. However, before 1834, planting seeds took several workers and a lot of effort. On the 14th of October, 1834, a black man named Henry Blair received a patent for a mechanical planter that he invented. The planter focused on corn, and 2 years later, he modified the design to work for cotton as well. Henry's inventions laid a foundation for modern-day planters, which are still used to improve the efficiency and productivity of farms worldwide. 6. Audiovisual home security systems. Among women inventors, Marie Van Britten Brown played an important role in helping to make us feel safer at home. That's because she was the black person behind the development of the first audiovisual home security system. She filed the official patent for this system in 1966. While the initial design for the home security system was rather complex, it laid a basis for the ones we use today. 7. Illusion transmitter. The illusion transmitter is a name that you might not have heard before. The main reason for this is because it's mainly used by NASA. There are also some companies working to adopt the technology for surgical procedures. This tech was invented by Valerie Thomas, a black female inventor who worked at NASA. She received a patent for her illusion transmitter in the year 1980. Even though it has been several decades since the invention, NASA continues to depend on the transmitter for a number of operations. The system uses a video recorder, which takes a photo of an image that's projected on a monitor. The transmitter then sends this image to another camera that's also connected to the system, thus resulting in the creation of an illusion. 8. Hair care products. As a person of color, you know that the regular shampoos and other hair care products you can find at your local supermarket don't work well with your hair. Many companies overlook this when they formulate these products. Luckily, there's a wide selection of hair care products that are tailored to African American hair. The person that you should thank for this is Madam C.J. Walker, who created the first hair care products that were specifically made for a black person's hair. She mainly focused on women in her marketing campaigns, which also explains why she had a line of cosmetics available as well. Madam passed away in 1919 at the age of 51. At that time, she was considered to be the wealthiest self-made black businesswoman in the country. 9. Lawn sprinklers. We've come to rely on the common lawn sprinkler a lot in modern times. It helps to keep our lawns bright green all year round, and even offers a helpful solution for farmers. A lot of people link the creation of sprinklers to Orton Engelhart, who created a sprinkler system in 1932. However, it's important to note that this was a commercial sprinkler system that actually took elements from a device invented many years before then. This is where Joseph Lessler comes into the picture. He's the black inventor who created the common lawn sprinkler that we still use today. His invention received an official patent by 1871. And focused on creating a device that was both functional and portable. 10. Potato chips. We all love potato chips, and while there are recipes that date back to earlier than the 19th century, one black man made them extremely popular. Chef George Crumb, also known as George Speck, decided to create thin slices of potato and fry them. People started to call them Saratoga chips. Think of this chef as the founder of the popularity that potato chips have in the modern day. Companies still use the same technique that George showed off to create potato chips today, just with their own twists to this classic recipe. Some people have also said that Catherine Wicks, George's sister, might also be behind the invention that made the restaurant where he worked so popular. 11. Gas mask. Firefighters and some factory workers are exposed to smoke, chemicals, and other elements that make it hard to do their jobs. Luckily, we have the gas mask, a solution that allows these people to breathe in filtered air while attending to people who are trapped in a fire or ensuring chemicals are processed properly. Did you know that the gas mask was created by a black inventor? The guy behind the modern version of the mask is Garrett Morgan, who created a smoke hood. It wasn't exactly the same as the masks we see today, but it still played an important role in allowing companies to have a foundation to work with. Since black people were sometimes looked down on at the time, Garrett often hired white actors to take credit for his invention and sell it to firefighters, hospitals, and other facilities. 12. The folding chair. Another invention you likely didn't know comes from black culture is the folding chair. This invention comes from Nathaniel Alexander, an African-American businessman who received several patents throughout his lifetime. The folding chair was created as a portable seating solution. When Nathaniel invented it, chairs weren't portable and were often hard to move around, especially when people wanted to take them on their travels. He filed the patent for his folding chair on March 10, 1911, and it was granted to him less than 4 months later. 13. Automatic railroad car coupler trains have been around for a very long time, but at one point, they posed serious threats. When cars had to be coupled together manually, it often created opportunities for accidents, resulting in the injury of people on the train and near the railway. An African-American man named Andrew Jackson Beard recognized the root cause of these accidents. He decided to develop a solution, which is how the automatic railroad car coupler came into existence. When Andrew patented his design, it was quickly adopted to help improve the safety of railroad workers. The couplers he invented were the first of their kind, and even today, we still rely on his original design to create modern versions. 14. The light bulb. This one is a bit controversial, but it still deserves a mark on my list. A black man didn't actually invent the idea of a light bulb. Instead, I'd say Lewis H. Latimer reinvented it, making it more efficient, resilient, and affordable. This happened when Hiram Maxim decided to hire Lewis as his assistant manager. In addition to his managerial duties, Lewis also became the draftsman of an electric lighting business in the U.S. What Lewis did was create a way that improved the way that carbon filaments could be produced. These filaments played an important role in the creation of light bulbs, and they helped the invention go from a novelty product that was only seen in mansions to something that became accessible to the average person. 15. Casket lowering devices. One of the main problems that families faced when burying someone who passed away was lowering the casket into the ground. It posed a risk for those people standing next to the hole in the ground, and the methods used were often considered not to offer dignity to the person who was buried. Albert Richardson invented the world's first casket lowering devices. Cloths, ropes, and pulleys were the main materials used in the device. Albert's invention made it easier and safer to lower caskets into the ground, which is why it became widely used throughout the United States. It wasn't just the US that took note of these devices. When you attend a funeral in the modern day, there's a casket lower system that took inspiration from the design that Albert introduced in the 1800s. 16. Butter churn. Butter churns aren't as common as they used to be, but these devices created a foundation that many modern appliances still adopt. There are many mixed opinions about who the real inventor of the butter churn is. Many people link the butter churn to Alfred Clark, a white man who was considered an inventor in his time. However, if you take a closer look at Black history, you'll notice that there was a Black creator who developed this device before Alfred. This Black inventor was the same one who created the previous entry in my list, Albert Richardson. Yes, he was not only known for improving the efficiency of lowering caskets into the earth, but also for inventing a butter churn. 17. Clothes dryer. While there was an original type of clothes dryer created by a white person, Monsieur Pochon, the design had too many flaws, created a risk for fires to start, and would result in clothes smelling like smoke. The true inventor of the clothes dryer was George T. Sampson, an African American who created a frame with rods that allowed fabrics to dry at a faster rate. At the time, the system still relied on a stove to apply heat to the clothes. However, the use of these rods and a frame eliminated the risk of the fabrics catching fire. This is considered to be the early version of the clothes dryer. The idea behind the device has been modified over the years, and today, we have electric versions of his invention. 18. Refrigerate food transport. Food transportation plays a critical role in ensuring supermarkets and local stores can stock the items we need in the modern day. However, before World War II, there was no way to ensure the freshness of foods while they were transported. Frederick McKinley Jones was a Black man who changed how the food transportation industry operated. Frederick invented refrigeration equipment that could be installed in trucks used to transport food. Through refrigeration, It was now possible to actually transport foods to different towns and still keep them fresh. This invention ensured the efficient delivery of meats, vegetables, and other foods that need to be kept at a cool temperature. It also helped to eliminate wastage, as the food placed in these refrigerators would not go bad. 19. Blood banks. Blood banks weren't always a thing, as before one black man was able to figure out a storage solution for blood, there was no way to actually transfer it. Charles Richard Drew, an African American born in Washington, D.C., was able to develop techniques that would allow blood to be collected, stored, and transported. When Charles invented this strategy to ensure blood could be transported, it prompted the United States to set up blood banks. This allowed the public to donate blood, which would then be transported to the U.S. Army and Navy. Many modern studies refer to Charles as the father of blood banking. 20. Traffic lights. Remember we talked about a black inventor who created the foundation for modern-day gas masks? Garrett Augustus Morgan wasn't just the inventor of one thing, but two. He's also the man behind the modern traffic light. His design focused on creating a two-way traffic light. The main idea was to help improve the overall safety of passengers and reduce the rate of accidents on the roads. He filed his patent for the design on 20 November 1923. 21. A better ironing board. While ironing isn't for everyone, it does help keep clothes looking neat. Sarah Boone, or Sarah Marshall, was a black female inventor who received a patent after improving the classic ironing board. Sarah's design focused on making it much easier to iron certain elements of clothes, such as the body area of garments and the sleeves of a shirt. Her focus was on inventing devices that could make life easier inside the home. This particular board had a narrower design compared to the ones that were already on the market. She was the second African American woman to receive a patent in the United States. 22. Automatic gear shift. While the automatic transmission was invented in 1904, originally by the Sturtevant brothers, a black man took the idea further in order to create an automatic gear shift device. This man was Richard Spikes, who received several patents for inventions that he created between 1908 and 1962. Richard was granted 2 patents for the automatic gear shift system. The first one, filed in 1932, focused on modifications to the existing auto transmission system. 1 year later, Richard was granted another patent for further modifications to the shifting and transmission system. 23. The Xray spectrometer. The use of X-rays for medical analysis is usually linked to a white man named Henry Moseley. He was an English physicist who played an important role in the medical industry, but was not the original inventor of the X-ray spectrometer. The real hero behind the X-ray technology we have today was George Edward Alcorn, Jr. This black man has more than 20 different inventions behind his name, with a large focus on the semiconductor market. 24. Foil electret microphones. While microphones have been available for many years, they often fell short in terms of what could be done. James West is the inventor of a technology called polymer foil electrets. He's technically the co-inventor, but he still plays an important role in the development of microphones over the last few decades. The polymer foil electrets that James invented, alongside Gerhard Sessler, has become a standard item used in modern-day microphones. The technology significantly improves a microphone's ability to capture voice and other sounds, while also reducing noise. Currently, James has more than 250 patents in the US and foreign countries, for not only the polymer foil electrets he co-invented, but also for microphones. 25. Improved cataract treatment. In 1988, a black woman, Patricia Bath, patented a device that significantly improved the treatment of cataracts. While the standard treatment at the time used lasers, Patricia took things further and invented a system that could dissolve and remove cataracts much faster than current interventions. When her patent was granted, she became the first African American woman to hold a patent related to a medical procedure or product. Thanks to her invention, Patricia was able to restore vision to people with cataracts who had previously had difficulty seeing for many years. This marked an important milestone not only in the medical industry, but also in black culture. Outro. The 25 inventions that I covered in this video were all originally created by Black people. Chances are, you didn't know that. This is because people in our culture aren't always given credit, and when white engineers and entrepreneurs adopt these inventions with their own twists, they claim ownership. In the next video, I'll cover another 25 inventions by Black people, shedding light on how our culture has shaped the world as we know it today. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on the next list of Black inventions, and give a thumbs up if you learned something new today.